It made me cry.
This one's wife. She will be booed. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Georgia Pearce writes GB News. This one's wife blasted for snubbing important UK visit. She knows she would get a bad reception. According to this report, Prince Harry will be lonely at his Invictus Games church service as he returns to the United Kingdom solo next week, it has been claimed. Charlotte Griffiths, royal editor for the Mail on Sunday, told GB News that this one's wife's decision not to join her husband in the UK next week is so sad. The Duke of Sussex will return to London to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Invictus Games, as the cause will be marked in a special church service at St. Paul's Cathedral. Instead of joining her husband, this one's wife will instead travel to Nigeria with Prince Harry after the service. See parts pass him about her finding the 43%, following an invitation from the country's Chief of Defence Staff. In a discussion with GB News host Patrick Christys, Griffiths claimed that the decision could have been made because the Duchess knows she'll get booed and get a bad reception if she were to set foot in the United Kingdom again. Reacting to the confirmation of this one's wife's snub, host Patrick Christys argued that if this one's wife is all for the Invictus Games, why should she choose not to come with him to Britain? Griffiths also noted that no senior members of the royal family are going to be at the event, making the Invictus Games service a very stark trip for Harry. She added, it's where his parents got married. It's going to be a very sombre and senior event. Criticising the Duchess, Griffiths told GB News, this one's wife is leaving him there alone. I just think he's going to cast a really lonely portrait of a man without his friends around him, without his family, and without senior members of the royal family. Griffiths added, it really is an important part of Harry's soul and the kind of thing he'd want his wife, maybe even his kids by his side for. However, Griffiths highlighted, if she was to come to the United Kingdom, it would be really difficult. It would bring up terrible memories of the past for her and awkward moments when she was in various churches and things. But she's a strong and tough woman. We know that about her. And she's always telling us how brave she is. So if I were her, I'd be brave and walk up those steps. It would look great for her Netflix show anyway. Patrick agreed, asking the royal editor, apparently no senior members of the royal family have got plans to see him at all. Griffiths revealed, he's staying in a hotel. He's not staying in a royal residence. I think he'll be here for a couple of days, not a week. I just don't think this one's wife will let him out of her sight for that long. I think a couple of days is all he'll manage. Discussing the Sussex's trip to Nigeria after Harry's visit to London, Griffiths added, she'll be Monty's shit show, prepping her outfits and getting ready for the show-stopping tour, but she didn't join him for the bit that really mattered. This one's wife, hitherto, has always ensured that she's popped up for Invictus. She went to Whistler. Even though the whole thing is nothing to do with her, she made it all about her, ensuring that she was staring down the lens of various cameras. We saw her ridiculous performance in Dusseldorf, marching at the head of veterans in an event which was akin to stolen valour. We saw her parading her expensive outfits in The Hague. She turned up in Toronto, if you recall, many moons ago. Thus, regularly she sought to make the Invictus Games, or the Ingriftus Games, about her. But oddly enough, when it comes to there being a memorial service to take place in the United Kingdom, she goes missing. And this shows you, actually, the cowardly nature of the mid-range narcissist. Mid-range narcissists, particularly mid-range, are cowardly. They tend to act with more covert behaviours. They have particularly strong victim mentalities. But it is the mid-range narcissist that is particularly cowardly. Passive-aggressive in public, nasty behind closed doors where no one can see the facade being damaged. Can engage in bullying behaviour, as we have seen in the past with this one's wife, as she allegedly behaved in that manner towards staff, and also Princess Charlotte. But this one's wife knows she will be booed. There is no way that she could turn up in the United Kingdom and not be on the receiving end of the disapproval of the British public. She has her supporters, but they're pretty thin on the ground, particularly in the United Kingdom. But after her behaviour, particularly and especially in relation to her discourteous and disrespectful behaviour towards the late Queen Elizabeth II, not only making her final months more difficult than they ought to have been, but furthermore mocking her with that curtsy, throwing brickbats from across the ocean. This one's wife has caused many people to not only dislike her, but be angry at the way that she has conducted herself. Many amongst the British public feel betrayed both by Harry and this one's wife, by her after the warm welcome that she was given, and then for the lies and the false accusations that she has put out, suggesting that King Charles and the Princess of Wales are royal racists. Her grasping, greedy, self-centred behaviour does not sit with the sense of fairness that is often found running through the middle of many Britons. Accordingly, were this one's wife to make an appearance at St. Paul's Cathedral, she would undoubtedly be booed, and her narcissism recognises this. It knows that she would receive a poor reception, which of course is a threat to control, and therefore, in its role as a self-defence mechanism, it needs to ensure that this one's wife can nullify those threats to control not only the British public, but the absence of the royal family, who won't want anything to do with her, and also in relation to adverse media coverage. This one's wife has not got the skill set or the ability or the reach to affect those threats head on. Accordingly, what she must do is nullify the threat to control through the third assertion of control, which is staying in state of withdrawal. She tells herself, it's an awful country with awful people, with an awful press and a family that were nasty to me. Why on earth would I ever want to go there? Not recognising, of course, that she's brought it on herself through her own unpleasant behaviour. No, she is the victim. The people of the UK have been horrible to her, and unjustifiably so. The royal family were racist towards her, and unjustifiably so. The press have picked on her and have been racist towards her, unjustifiably so. She's the victim, she's the victim, she's the victim. She would be booed, and she ought to be booed, because the British public should be allowed to voice their displeasure. After all, this one's wife has seen fit to voice her views. Why not she receive them in return? But she won't. Because cowardly mid-range narcissist that she is, she won't bother to support her husband, even though she's ever so proud of him. Oh no, Harry, stuff him. Doesn't matter that he's on his own, doesn't matter that the trip might be a little bit difficult for him. That doesn't matter to this one's wife, because all that matters to her as a narcissist is her. There's no emotional empathy for Harry. He's cut adrift. She's not going to deal with the booze and put on a united front for his sake. That's too much like hard work, and he's not worth it. What matters is that she has to nullify the threat to control, and she could readily do that by not turning up, and instead focusing on her faux royal visit to Nigeria. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.